Okay, so what we've done is we went ahead and cut our bottom piece out. You can see it's clear on the table. There's no more plastic. I've cleaned up the edges on our cut. And what this is going to allow it to do is the actual cover is going to be able to go right back on just like it came off. The only thing we're doing is we're cutting out that middle part. And you'll see, I call them feet. That's the foot after it's been cut, and it sits right back in its original location. And that's on both sides. And the screws will go right back in just like they came out to hold the frame to the bottom plastic. So our next step is I'm going to take this printer base back up, remove the covers, set them, or the bottom feet, set them aside, and we're going to begin the steps of clearing the path of the actual middle of the printer frame. So the next step is we have to clear out all of the original rollers in the printer and take the components off to clear a path for the actual platen to travel through. And you can see some of it here. And then if we flip it up, you'll see some plastic components here. This actual metal will be cut here and here. This bar will remove by screws, and we will cut here and here. So first step is removing the basic stuff, just these screws and these spring components. We will not be using any of this stuff. Don't fear to hurt it. You can cut it. You can damage this in any way. We're not using it. Just be very gentle with the frame itself. We don't want to bend the frame, damage the frame in any way. So we'll begin removing that now. So what you see we've done is we've moved a lot of the plastic guidings and spring system that was here in the front. And a lot of this I just used wire snippers and cut since we're no longer going to use it, and just pulled them out. Little plastic pieces and the guide trays. And what you see we have left is another plastic guide tray with the eject roller rod and the friction drive rod still in place here. So what we're going to do next is there's a couple screws that we have to remove that can be a little difficult. And one of them is this white holder right here. There's a screw in here. So we're going to have to come from the outside of the printer where there's a hole, and you just go right down in here. It's difficult to film it and get it at the same time. There we go. And you can see I just used a long Phillips, and I'm going to use pliers. If you have a long Phillips screwdriver, you can just go right in there and get that. So then you just loosen it here, and we'll take that white piece out after it's loosened, and we'll go to the next step. So I've removed the screw in the white holder that was underneath that we just showed. I'm going to unlock the carriage. You unlock the carriage with the carriage screw over here on the side, and you can kind of push it as you go, and you'll see it release. And you'll see right here is this white piece where we removed the screw on the outside. And this can be a little stubborn getting out, but you take your screwdriver and kind of work it, and it usually pops up. Like I said, sometimes you have to work it a little bit to get it out. And then that pops out. You'll see some wire ground holes across your rods here. Very difficult to see in the video. It looks like a really thin piece of wire. You're going to want to take those off. Snap them off with a screwdriver. And then there's a locking piece where that wire goes through. Once that's removed, that frees that rod, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, here's the little grounding wire that went between the rods, the eject rod and the eject roller. This has to come off because it will hold the rod in place when you're trying to slide it out. So now that we have that off, that came right from the outside here that we were talking about, you can just lay that aside, and you'll notice another Phillips screw right here. This is very difficult impossible to get out with the capping station in place. So the easiest way to remove this screw is we take a Dremel right here and we just cut the plastic holder rather than trying to move the screw. So once we cut the plastic holder, that screw easily pushes out, and then we can go to the next step. So you see we went ahead and Dremeled that screw out. Right here, you can see the screw is loose. So now this plastic moves freely. So what we do at this point, we can go ahead and lock the carriage back in place. I'm going to slide this carriage back over, out of the way. We're going to make sure it's locked in place again. It's locked, out of the way. And then we're going to go over here and we're going to work on this side. What we're going to do is we're going to take the Dremel and we're going to cut this little plastic clip off here, point it with my screwdriver and mark it silver right here. That holds this rod in place. And right in here. I'm just going to Dremel that so it makes it very easy to slide this whole shaft out. And then we'll go to the next step. So we've went ahead and Dremeled this piece out here. So it makes it easy for this eject roller to come out. If you'll notice right here, there's a bearing on the side, just plastic bushing. We're gonna remove that. We're not gonna keep these, so don't fear hurting it. Actually can come around from the other side and actually take the clip off. It's a lot easier. And you can cut this or do that any which way you want. And then we'll go to the next step. So I took this clip off, just a O-ring clip. So you want to slide those off. You're not going to use those. I keep them for spare parts or whatever. And then we're going to take and turn this bearing. Sometimes finding the right spot is a little tricky, but that bearing should pop out. And you can see the keys on the inside to get it to pop out. And you see now it's coming out. And now you'll be able to manipulate that rod. And you see it popped out on that side. And we'll pull it out, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, next step is you want to Dremel this plastic piece. I do a lot of Dremeling because it's much easier than following a service manual, taking a bunch more parts off than you actually need to in our application. So I've put a silver mark on there. You're going to cut the Dremel there, and then we will proceed to take this plastic retainer out. So I went ahead and Dremeled here at this point, and now we're going to attempt to manipulate this that just snapped off like you see. Now you can see the rod. This should fall, and you can see you can move this around much easier now. So we're just going to manipulate this until we get it out. It might require a little snap right here with the wire cutters to make some room for it to pop out. So we'll cut that and then we will pull it out. You'll notice a wire right here from the mist control unit. This is the mist control unit. This wire travels down here to the pad. That's what collects ink mist. We don't use this anymore. We're going to cut that right there so this can free this up more. And then we're going to go ahead and manipulate this whole black piece of cover out. And it slides out like that. And you'll see all you have left in here now is metal components. So we still have the electronic cover on the back, and now you have very easy access to these screws. So we're going to remove this screw, this screw, this screw, these top screws here, so we can pop this retaining stiffening shaft out.